Well, it's a good evening from the studios of Radio FM 88 Australia, and of course we do it 7 o'clock on the Australian East Coast, based in Queensland. We don't go for daylight saving, and our co-host is sitting right at the very top here, is from the Northern Hemisphere in the UK. As our co-host is Andrena Forrest. Today our guest is from Australia, and I personally have met this lady, and I was really impressed, and she's on the show tonight, or today if you're watching in England. And it's a good morning to you, Andrena.
Hi, Jeffrey, and thank you. Good morning, good day. Welcome to everyone who's tuned in to Dream in the New Dream or listening to a replay. So today is the 14th of August, so we're already halfway through the month, whizzing by. And it's with great pleasure today that we've got Deborah Khan on the show. So you might want to get your glasses out if you need them, because she's going to be taking us through different things to do with our hands. So we're going to be checking our own hands as she speaks. So anyway, welcome, Deborah. It's lovely to have you on the show. And thank you for coming on at short notice, because we had a cancellation. And luckily, Jeff found you, I think, was it on Monday?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so welcome. And thank you for coming on at very short notice.
Thank you for having me.
So would you like to start at the very beginning? Because I know you're a gifted medium and intuitive palmist, and you read, obviously, when you look at hands, you read more than the lines. Yes. So were you born with a gift? Did you develop it along the way? Would you like to share how it all started?
Well, I always had an interest in the occult and different things. And then at about the age of 19, I went to a medium who was giving a big show in Melbourne, and she happened to be from England, and I think that's where the best ones are anyway. And she invited me up onto the stage, and I said, oh, no, I don't want to come up. I'm shy. And she said, no, you're not shy. She said, I'd like you to come up here, please, because when you reach your early 50s, you'll be doing what I'm doing. Well, I was 19 at the time, and I thought she was silly. But it turns out when I got to my early 50s, I found an interest in palmistry. I found an excellent teacher. He's passed away since then, but he was a wonderful man. He was a geologist, a doctor of geology, and that's how it all started. So I just trained with him for about 15 years or more until he passed away, and that leads me up to today, really.
Right, okay. Well,
and
fabulous.
Of course, I'm nearly 70, so.
Oh, sorry. Well, you're still young, so that's only a numbers game. We don't play the numbers game, not when you hit the 7 mark. Well, I don't anyway. So, like, one of the questions I would like to ask is, obviously, as you grow, your hand and your print, everything changes a little. So, like, from children, is the main heartline and headline and all that mapped out? And as they grow, the hand just grows, but the lines remain the same. Does that make sense?
Yes, they do. They're all there when you're born, but our hands change all the time, depending what we go through. If we go through trauma, stress, all different things, then the lines on our hands change. Not the main ones, but all the lines running off it. That's what happens.
Right. Okay. So, right. Hang on. I just got to do this. My screen's gone a bit funny. Just bear with me a minute.
Sure.
Right. Is that better?
That's fine.
Jeffrey?
It's better than what it was before. Yeah. Go.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, where would you start for people? I mean, I don't really. I've had a couple. I've got a friend who's very intuitive psychic as well. She always holds the hands and like she gets all the information. So I would imagine that's the same for you.
I don't know where mine comes from. When I'm doing someone's hand and I'm reading, say, technically, the next minute it just jumps into my mind and I get given something and I pass it on. But if someone said to me, where's it come from? Where do you get it? I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us really know.
Well, no. So would you like to start at the beginning for people that have no idea about the lines on their hands? What would people look at first? You know, so like just say, I don't know nothing. So if I'm looking at my hand, because you've got like that main one, I can't remember if that's the heart or the head, and then you've got that other one. So is that the two main ones on your hand?
So usually people look at the lifeline. This is the one running down here beside the thumb. Then we've got the heart line up the top, which is all our emotions and what's happening to us mentally. And then, of course, we've got the heart line running across the middle.
Excuse me, just 1 second. I got to move my mobile.
Sure.
Yeah, she's a bit fuzzy there, and it's about getting a clear signal from the Wi-Fi unit.
Sure.
Okay, so while we're doing that, let's bring this up.
I could probably tell the people while we're waiting that the main lines we look at being the heart line, this reflects your emotions and your relationships. The lifeline suggests the vitality and the major changes in your life. We've also got the fate line, which runs from the middle finger down, and that talks about your career or your destiny. And they're the ones that most people are familiar with.
Right. I've blown it up a bit closer now, so
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
sorry. So what was the pink one? Was that the heart or the head? Oh, that's the heart.
Yes, the heart. Which you'd think it should be in the middle where the blue one is, but no, it's up the top. So I've got a few notes relating to this lady, so we might like to, I'll just grab them here and we'll go through it.
Okay.
Is that better?
Now, pardon?
Is that better?
How's it?
That's that's getting better. It's sharper. Yeah, getting much better. Well, if we look at this woman's heart line, which is underneath, it's starting underneath the small finger there. Oh, good, Jeff, you've got it all there. The first thing we notice is all the feathering on that line. Well, what that tells us is that emotionally, this lady, I believe she's about 54, this particular lady. All that feathering tells us that in her younger years, there was a tremendous amount of emotional turmoil. So things for her weren't very good at all. And then as we go along, we can see that we've got a branch coming off the lifeline and it's going down into the headline. So that tells me that she's gone through some sort of trauma that has impacted her in every way, because it's gone from one line to the next one. Then if we travel further up, we see that once again, she's gone through another trauma later in her life, where it's gone from the heart line down to the headline. And then what we do then is we start to look down here at the lifeline and we can start to match these things up. And these lines, little lines that we see coming up here, are effort and success lines. Now we can see that during her younger years, her formal years, that she's been attached to her family, because we don't see the lines open where there's any independence. We see that she's gone out of her way to stick with family and try and do what they want. This particular lady I know only had a father, so her and her father were very, very attached, and he was a very, very dominant man. So we see that she's continued with him during those formal years. Then she's branched out on her own and she started to have effort and success. So we see her at about 1920. I remember she told me she'd gone on and done extra study because she had to leave school early, and she did psychology, she did English, any sort of small courses or different courses to educate herself a lot more. Then if we follow that line down and we look across back up to the heartline, this is where we see that line coming back down to reach the headline, matching up with the line coming down on the heartline. So because it's going down and not up, she experienced at that time in her life, which is around her early 30s, a great deal of trauma where it affected her quite badly. So she had to pick herself up, rebuild things again. And then we see she does, because as we go down the lifeline, we see lines going up again. And these are effort and success lines. That's what we call them, where people have made a big effort to do things in their life to get on top of things, keep going, or they can be study, they can be anything. Also, it's worth mentioning while we're on this line that if we see a square around this line on the line, sometimes that can be institutionalized. That can be like being in hospital, being sick. We might see a line going down and then we'll see the square. So we know that during that time they could have been in hospital. If it's like a crime or something, they could have been in jail, or if they're going through study. So they're little things too that we look for. Also, we might see other things on the line like an island shape. Well, then that means that there's a lot to go through at that time, but because it's an island, the person has managed to keep going and go through that period of time. So are you understanding where we're at and what I'm saying at the moment? Is it making sense?
Yeah, because I'm looking on mine and I'm thinking, well, I haven't got any of those lines. And then I'm looking at the headline, because on this one, that one goes right to the top and mine doesn't. So I'm thinking, well, what does that mean? You know, so obviously it's all plenty of food for thought.
Yeah. Now, also, if we go back up to the heartline, we see that it curves and goes into the middle between those two fingers. Well, that tells us that that lady is romantic, that she's someone that likes to be wined and dined, and she's romantic herself, giving flowers or chocolates or anything. So, and if it was not so curved like it is, we'd know that the person wasn't that way inclined, that they probably kept their feelings more inside. So then if the other, it might be worth mentioning too, with all that trauma in the early years on the heartline there, some of the study that I've done looking at criminals, not that we want to compare her to a criminal, but they also tend to have those type of lines, and I noticed some of them have many lines with all that feathering through every single line. So this is what I've noticed on the hands of murderers or rapists or anything, and I think that trauma manifests itself into the crimes that they do, whereas this lady has suffered that trauma, but she's managed to keep going. Now, if we start down the bottom, we're looking at the fate line, which is, it is faint, that one. The purple line, we see that things are going along and she's living her life and doing things. Then when we get to about the age of 35 for this woman, her life goes in two directions. So what that tells me is that from 35 to 50, she might be at home being a mother and have a part-time job, but I know that she's doing two things with her life. Then when we get up here to the 50-55, the line changes again and we've got three things happening there. So she might either have a a hobby or a part-time job, or she might be a grandmother and or be doing something else as well. So as we're doing things and our lines are changing, you can see how they're manifesting themselves on our hands, because really we're born with a roadmap. We're very lucky. And I sometimes feel too, when I'm shaking someone's hand, I might be shaking the hand of someone that's got a bestseller, because we never know what's in that hand, do we?
No, that's true.
So now we'll look at a few of the other little things now. If we look at the top of the fingers here, this lady's got what we call loops and an arch loop. People that have got what I call loopy hands, they're usually easygoing and adaptable. They'll get on with people. They tend to like talking and mixing, and she is actually like that. She's always chatting to someone, knows someone, and likes people. So that's what we can show when we look at all this. Now, a Raja's loop. That's an interesting loop. It's marked here between the Jupiter finger and the Saturn finger. Now, if that was on her left hand, we would know that that loop would say that she has some sort of heritage as far as, say, royalty, or someone with some sort of standing in the community. In this lady's case, she does. This is her right hand this is on, but she does have connection to French aristocracy. When she did her genealogy, she found that there was some there. So she's got a very, very, very small one on her other hand. When it's in the right hand, like we see it here, usually the person has charisma, charming, can talk to people, that sort of thing. So that's, and then we've got here the loop of seriousness as we go across and we look at the loop of seriousness. That just says that it's not a really big loop, but just that she takes things seriously and what's going in life, and, that type of thing. Now, we'll come across down now towards the thumb, and we've got a tribal line. Now, what that tribal line tells us there is that she's loyal to a group. So in the case, this woman's got 3 children, so she's loyal to her extended family, and that's a nice tribal line. So that tells us that she cares a lot about her family, and they're very, very important to her. Now, if we go just below there, we'll see that we've got the family ring. Now, that's very messy, that one. And then as we go down further with that family ring, we see that it starts to peter out a bit. Now, during, I think, her years 0 to 5, she was with her mother and father. And what she told me was things were really disastrous. Then as she got older, of course, she went off with the one parent and things became a bit better. But you can see when we see this feathering in the hand, it often shows us where things aren't that great. We look at the thumb. Now, I noticed with your thumb, Andrena, you're a very strong, powerful woman. Nobody will get around you. When I had a quick peep at your hand, you're a soft, loving, caring lady. But when it comes to business or doing things, they'd be lucky to get on top of you, because you're very, very strong, and that's a good quality to have anyway. So,
oh, that's good.
Well, you had lots of other. You had lots of lovely other qualities too. So,
that's nice to know.
This woman has a strong thumb, but hers is not as strong as yours, Andrena. But still, she has a nice, big, strong thumb. So, and also she's got sort of balanced willpower. She's not someone that would cut off her nose despite her face, but she's close to it. Now, if we go back to the Lifeline, I know we're jumping around, but I'm sort of trying to match them all up. If we go back to the Lifeline, do you see we've got that green line, then I've put a biro line down this side of the inside of that Lifeline. Do you see that on here? Do you see that? And
Right.
this lady's married. She's been married for a long time. She told me over 40 years. So if we look at that we see that her husband, her partner, is very, very close to her. So they're quite entwined. Whereas if the line was even closer, we'd say, well, he's virtually on, I was going to say virtually on top of her, but I mean, not literally at the moment, but
I know what you mean.
yeah, they're very closely connected. But yes, he's very supportive and he's with her. And then we've got that other line, which is a bit further out. Do you see that one running down parallel, but it's by itself where I've marked it? That's also, yes, that's also support. So she's had support there, but that's more from a distance. That can be a parent. In her case, it was a parent, or just somebody close. So that's where they show up. Now, these lines are interesting. We'll go across underneath what we call the Mercury finger, which is the little finger, and we've got partnership lines there. Do you see those three little lines? No, not that. No, that's a triradii. We're not going to discuss that tonight because they're too in-depth. We're just going to have a brief look. But just go back there again, Jeff. We've got these three little lines there. Do you see? Or four lines? Here, back partnership. It'll say partnership, love, dependent lines, where you were. Just here. Can you see where I'm? Just on the out there. That's exactly right. Okay. Now let's look carefully. We've got three lines there. And what that tells us is that in this lady's case, because I know her history, because I've read her several times, we can see she's got a relationship in the first line, right? The one at the bottom. Then we look to the middle and we've got another relationship line. But those lines are joined at the beginning. If you see it's a bit hard to see, but if we follow that middle line out, can you see that line traveling down? It's very fine, but can you see it? That's it. Perfect. See how that's traveling down and it goes down and it goes through the heart line. Well, what that tells us is that during that phase of that relationship, it disintegrated. It went right down. And they probably suffered a separation or things were really, really bad. But then when we go back and we look at the line above it, we see that because I know her history, she started that relationship again. And I've looked at her hands recently, and that line has continued to go up and up and up. So that tells me that from that bit of history there, that relationship has evolved and they've mended things and it's gone a lot better. So they're the little things that we can see. When we do palmistry, we're not allowed to be, or they say best not to be predictive. Most palmists, I'll show you some more things on there in a minute. Most palmists are not predictive. The palmistry is really the practice of interpreting a person's life path, their character, their potential, and just you learn all this by studying the lines, the shapes, the mounts. But in my case, I found when I was reading, things were jumping out at me and I was predictive. I could look at the hand and it became a picture to me. I didn't sort of, how would you say, pull it all undone and look at it individually. I looked at it as a whole. Now, this woman hasn't done a lot of travel. You'll see travel lines down the side of her hand. She's done a bit when she was younger, and then she'll only do a few more trips, I see, as she gets older. Now, while we're looking down that side of the hand, when we look at her headline, which is the blue line, do you notice how she's got many different lines coming out here that I've marked for you? Do you see all those? Yeah. That's quite unusual. You don't see that a lot. But what I put it down to is the fact that if we look above in the heartline there, we see that the trauma and everything that she suffered as a young person, as she's aged and got older, her thinking has changed. Like she's been through so much, witnessed so much, that then her thinking now, she can think in many different directions. I believe, talking to her, that she sometimes wakes up and it's almost like, who will I be today? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've had relatives or yourself have been through that, but it's trauma, and it's still there, and it's almost like they never know who they are. And that's, I've not seen many hands like that, but that's what I've seen her of recent times, and I've noticed that she's got many, many more of those. So it's just something. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm here.
You mentioned about trauma on the hands. So obviously, like if you go through a trauma, does that appear sort of instantly on the hand, or does it just sort of work its way in, or is it already there, but then it sort of comes stronger, if you know what I mean?
Personally, I believe it works its way in, because whatever's happening up here in our head is coming down here to down our arms, to our hands, to our fingers, and so it's presenting itself there. I also notice when people are going through stress, they have often red hands, blotchy hands, and then you'll read them and you'll say, things aren't that great, and they'll say, I'm under a bit of stress. Or you'll notice it actually, palmistry is a fascinating thing because it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's got two exact opposites, because then you'll look at another hand and it won't have a line on it, it'll be perfect. And then you'll know that that person doesn't handle stress at all, because it's not coming out of them. They're internalizing everything. So often we wonder, which is the better. But I think it's better if you can get it out.
And do you like to, which would you choose, the right or the left, or does it depend on that person's, the hand that they write with when you're doing a reading?
Okay, so you ask the person which is their most dominant hand, which is the hand that they do most things with. In this case, this lady's right-handed, but her left hand would show us of what she was born with. And then the right hand is showing us what's happened to her and what she's done with it.
Right.
So that's how that works out. I think that, sorry.
I was going to say, I've seen on Facebook or different places, and people say if you've got the letter M on your hand, you're a master. Is that?
No, I don't agree with that. Look,
that's one thing.
Yeah. No, that's right. I know what you're talking about, because I've heard them say. I've heard people that read say, "Oh, you've got the letter M. Who do you know? Letter M, is it Mary, Margaret, or?" But no, I don't go by that. But look, I tell you one thing I have learned. I've got over 300 books at least on palmistry, which is a great many. A lot of people don't have anywhere near that much. I've been fortunate. But every single book is going to tell me something different. None of them are exactly the same, and it's the same with us palmists. When we get together, we'll argue over, not in a bad way, but we'll just discuss what a line means and where it should be and why it's there. And because every hand you see is different. You are never, ever going to see another hand like that, even remotely like it. And there's 700 basic signs, symbols that we have to know when it comes to palmistry.
Not
And
too
then,
many then.
no, that's right. And then after that, we also have to know what these signs mean when they're crossed over with each other. So, you know, what long fingers mean with a big thumb or something, all of these combinations. And that's why I've found not too many young people do palmistry, but they're elderly people like myself. Most of my palmist friends are all somewhat old. So, and I think because it takes many, many, many years of looking at hands. I spoke to a gentleman recently. I said, "Oh, gee, you seem like a pretty good palmist." And he said, "Oh, no, I'm not." And I said, "Oh, I think you are." And I said, "How many hands have you read?" He said, "Oh, about 25,000." He said, "I've kept every set of prints I've ever read." And I said,
Wow.
"Oh, my goodness." And he said, "Oh, I would only consider myself a mediocre palmist." And he was quite serious because it's not an easy subject, and anybody that tells you that it is, they're not telling you the truth. It's a very, very, very hard subject. I think it is anyway. To be
Yeah.
good at it, to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Look, I'm being honest. Technically, I'm probably not the best palmer. So a long, long way from it. I'm probably not that great at all. And in fact, we've got a few solicitors in the family. My daughter's one, and so's my other daughters-in-law. And I always think the first time I give a dud reading, I'll probably need both those girls. So to get me out of trouble the way things are. But
Well,
yeah.
Jeff must have been impressed too. So, because you're here on the show now, so
Oh, that's nice. Jeff was very hard to read.
oh, I could believe that.
I'd say Jeff would be one of the hardest people ever that I've ever read. Plus, his mind works different to a lot of people. It's very, very active. It never stops. And also, Jeff isn't someone that really expresses what's going on in his life. He internalizes it all. So, but he's got tons of lovely qualities as well. So he's a very, very nice
That's
man.
good.
So
Thank
yeah.
you. Appreciate that. Money's in the envelope.
Oh, thank you.
What did you
Money's
say?
in the money's
Money's in the
envelope.
envelope. I
Love
hope
it.
it's a big one. But I'll just, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no,
What were you
one
saying?
thing, I can remember somebody reading it might have been 20, 30 years ago now. And I remember she looked somewhere and she said, you will be married twice in your lifetime.
Well, that's someone that must have had psychic ability, predictive palmistry, because I believe in these relationship and partnership lines down the side of your hand. That's what I believe. But a lot of palmists do not believe in them, and they say that they're quite inaccurate. But personally, I've had a lot of luck with it and can interpret them. But I don't know if you've been married twice, but if she said that and
No,
it's happened, well, I
no,
looked at your
I'm still
hand and
open.
I looked at your hand and I only saw once, but I could be wrong too. But I saw a deep and meaningful relationship there. But I haven't finished looking at your hand, Andrea. But Andrena, I mean, sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
yeah. Just getting back to all these lines at the end of this headline here, the blue one, do you see at the very end here, we've got a little part of it kicks up? Do you see this here? There's a little part of this line kicks up right
Oh,
down
yeah.
the end here. Jeff's doing a good job. No, keep coming down here. That is what we call a 6-penny hook. A 6-penny hook means, no, not that one up here, Jeff, just up to the top there. No, come back down. This, go along, go right to the end here. Yes, good. He's good, isn't he? That's what we call a 6-penny hook, and that means that that person can turn a dollar over, that they can make money go, you know, quite a long way, that they're pretty good with money. I know this woman, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. But,
is it a line we can paint in?
Oh, sorry, you've cut out. What did you say, Andrena?
Is it a line we can paint in?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. So, and then also, if we come down, we drop down further, this lady has quite a large loop of intuition, doesn't she? Do you notice that? That's quite a big loop of intuition. And she also has what we call psychic crosses, and they run up between her head and heart line. You wouldn't be able to see them because there's things crossed over them, but it tells me that she has some ability intuitively. So yeah, so they're just some of the things. The getting back, I suppose, if we address the Mount of Venus again, which is where the Lifeline runs down next to Jeff's in the right place, good man. And I remember my teacher used to always say to me, just remember, Debbie, penis rhymes with Venus. And he said that was one way of remembering it. And what I have learned is that with men, if they've got a very hard ball there, like, you know, tough and solid there, they'll often have a lot of vitality and things like that. But and they'll have a great sexual appetite, that if you don't have the passion that goes with the sexual appetite, then it's not much good, is it? So you might, I read a man where he had a very big ball there and great sexual appetite, but looking at the rest of his hand, it was sort of dead. He was not a passionate man. So, like I said, the hand can contradict itself all the time. So we also look up further. I know I'm getting you around the here and there, but this woman below the Raja's loop, she has what I call teacher squares. When we see those squares up there, we know that people can have the ability to teach. I read a woman recently, and when she was about, I didn't notice it, and when she was about to leave and she stood up, I said, "Oh, you'd make a wonderful teacher." She said, "I am." So she didn't have the teacher square. So you're always on the lookout, you know, for other signs and symbols to see what's going on. So that's just a little sum of it. That is there any questions that you have, or?
Well, I'm looking at my left hand at some of these things because that's showing a left hand, but I realize I should be looking at my right hand.
Well, the left hand, like I said, is going to tell you what you were born with, and the right hand's telling us what you've done with it. So, but you're a well, I'll just say a tiny bit of the things that I saw in your hand. You're a very strong, determined, loyal person. Like I said, very soft, kind-hearted lady. There is a sign in your hand that I won't mention that I don't see often, but it was quite interesting to see that sign in your hand, and I think I commented to you about it. But yeah, so but you've got an interesting hand. Pardon?
All right. I look forward to listening afterwards, like, you know, what that might be. Yeah, because I had
it was a good sign, so it wasn't a bad one. Yeah. But it's yeah. Disappeared. Yeah. Sorry.
So how young have you read somebody's hand?
Oh, I won't read young children or because they're still developing in life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think morally you shouldn't.
No,
You
yeah, no,
shouldn't do that morally.
yeah, no, I agree totally. So, um, so what? So when? Well, I'm just trying to get my head around this. Like, obviously, people can come to you at a certain age, and like you say, what most is the roadmap, isn't it? Your soul print, if you like, of your life. So,
That's
um,
right.
yeah. So, and obviously, different things affect it, and so, like, obviously, you know, if there's an illness coming in or something,
That's
then
right.
it's up
Yeah.
there and it works in, and then obviously it's affected your hands. Because I mean, you know, I will share that I came back from Egypt last year and I was so ill, and it rocked me for 6 because I had to take all sorts of things. So, but that would have been on my hand somewhere that I would have
Well,
had.
actually, sorry to interrupt. I did
No,
see
no,
on
no.
your hand. I did see on your hand on your health line. Some palmists don't even read the health line, but I did notice on your health line that I saw two lines running next to each other, and I thought, well, you'd been affected recently by some sort of
Mm.
health issue, and I think as you go into older age, I see that there's two conditions there. We're not talking about anything really bad, but
No,
they're
no.
just health issues that have to be addressed.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Oh, fully,
earlier, sorry,
fully. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things, I suppose. So
So you'd
even
know what I was talking about.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
even though it was already mapped out to come in, um, yeah, no, I don't suppose, can you stop any, when you see something in somebody's hand, can you sort of like give warnings to people?
I
Like,
do. I do.
yeah,
Yep, I do all the time. I'll tell you a couple of funny stories. When I was very ill, and a couple of times I had to get the ambulance. And of course, if you are really sick, you get a bit stressed. And I was laying there on the stretcher, and I watched the ambulance officer treating me, and it was a female, and I just noticed her partnership lines and looking at different lines. So when they took me to the hospital and they were about to say goodbye, I said, "Look, I'm sorry. Can I have a little chat to you?" I said, "I'm not strange." Probably when they were.
yeah,
I said,
uh,
but darling, I feel you're in a committed relationship now, and I've been looking. You probably shouldn't do this. I wouldn't say anybody should do it because you are going into their personal space. But I said to her that um, you need to work on that relationship because I feel there's not enough time being spent together. And as I go forward with you, I see the relationship going down, which is not good. So she said, "Well, actually, I'm engaged." And she said, "I never see my partner." And I said, "Well, you both need to just work on that if you could. I think it'd be a good thing." Anyway, about 18 months later, the ambulance came for me again, and she said, "Oh, I know you. I had you last time."
yeah,
And I said, and she said, "By the way, I'm not with my man anymore." And I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that." And she said, "You were right. We just never spent any time together." So we split up.
mm,
So you can see them and you can tell people and you can change it. But not everything is there for you to see.
no,
But obviously the way I read it is it was on her mind, so it appeared on her hand. That's the way that I see it.
mm,
It manifested itself there, and I could see it and read it. Mm.
interesting, eh? So,
Mm.
any other funny stories you'd like to share?
Oh,
The
well,
one
I
with the
did have
girlfriend, mate. The girlfriend
the
one.
Eh?
the which
One
one?
with the girlfriend.
Oh, yes. I did have a man come to me not so long ago, and I can tell these stories because I'm not using names or anything. And he was talking all the time about his girlfriend, and he was a little bit, oh, I don't like to say strange, but I don't know any other word to use, but let's say he was different. And he was asking me all the time about his girlfriend and his relationship and all that. And then, so after the reading was over, I said to him, look, do you have any photos? Because I read photos. So, and blow me down, he brings out the photos on the phone and he shows me a farm animal.
It's his girlfriend.
That's his girlfriend. The
Really?
farm animal was he's his girlfriend. And I don't know whether he was having a go at me or what it was, but he just said, well, what can you see? And I just said, bah, bah. That was it. But
Oh my gosh.
you're gonna get all sorts of people.
Yeah.
But the ones that I love the most are the people that need my help, the ones that are worried about their relationship, worried about their children, or they're suffering or hurting. And there's nothing nicer than having those people go away feeling so much better than when they came to you, because even if we can't solve a problem, we can give them hope. And sometimes that's all we need. We just need hope. And that can be enough to turn them in the right direction, because most people these days, it's usually romance or infidelity is the biggest one, especially with women. And a lot of these women are absolutely gorgeous, lovely women, and you just wonder how these things happen to them. But the world's changed. We've got dating sites. We're living a new type of life. It's not like long ago where you'd go out and meet somebody and you had a better indication of what that person was like. But anyway, it's not good, because look, even when we do the wrong thing, what these people forget is it imprints on you. And somewhere down the track, you're going to have to live with that, having done and hurt someone else. So what I always say to them is, you need to be careful, because somewhere that's going to come back on you. You're going to have to look at yourself, look what's happened, and realise that that's not the thing to do. And it's sad to see it. It really is, because most women that I help, I've usually got to cuddle them because they're crying, or, But it happens to men. It happens to men too. So, but it seems to be something that happens to women more often. But I had another woman who came to me, and look, she looked beautiful. I would have thought she was in her 30s. She looked so stunning, and she was a lovely, lovely lady. And I'm reading her, and all of a sudden I got the number 62 in my head, and I said to her, "Oh, you're going to retire young, and you're going to retire, I think, at around about 62." And she said to me, "Who have you been talking to?" And I said, "Oh, pardon?" And she said, "No," because I said, I said to her, actually, when I told her, I said, "They're telling me 62." And she said, "Well, who's there? Who's they?" And I said, "Well, just 62." And she said, "Well, I was at my accountant's yesterday and he told me I can retire at 62 instead of 67. And I said, "Well, I haven't spoken to anyone, darling. This is just what I saw." So, yeah, there is funny things that happen.
Yeah, I bet. Question for people that want to have children, where's the line for how many children, or if you're going to have children?
Okay, well, if
I mean,
we
it's a
go
bit late
over here
now, but anyway.
here we go to the partnership lines. Can we go over here, Jeffrey, onto the partnership lines on the side of the hand underneath the little finger?
Yeah, bring it up.
He's doing a good job, by the way.
Yeah, he always does. He's a techno bod. Right.
Right. Do we see there in this woman's case, there's lines coming down, cutting across those partnership lines? Do you see those lines coming down?
Oh, yeah. So that's on the little finger, is it?
No, below the little finger. Yes, where Jeffrey is here. Yep. up a bit, Jeffrey, just where you were, the partnership lines. There, that's, no, not there, that's a tri-radii, not there. Oh, next to it, here, that's it, perfect. Well, that tells me how many children that, in this case, this lady's got or had. Sometimes it shows up terminations. I might say, oh, you've had 4 children, and they'll say, oh, I've got 3, lost 1. But that child is still in the hand. If you mean, can we predict how many children that you're going to have? Well, it's if we're using that part of the hand, to be honest, it's only usually a stab in the dark. We can't say it's accurate. We can't say it's accurate.
Now, do you want me to bring up the earth, air, water, and air hands?
Yes. If we've got, I've brought pictures of big hands here. Now, where I'll get mine, because I've got mine here too. This is the air hand. Now, I've got a bit of writing here. What I'm just going to give people a rough description of these hands, because they can have a look at their own hands and see if they're earth, water, air, or whatever hand that they are. So in this case, the air hand, what that tells us, and I think it's, if I remember, oh no, it mightn't be the air hand that you've got, Andrena. An air hand, the positive signs are they're very open, studious, exploring, and often very intelligent. They're good teachers and debaters, and they don't like to be confined, and they're lively, talkative, inquisitive. But their negative side, or the other side, they're cool, deceptive, they can be fickle, and they've got the square hand and the long fingers. Then we're looking, Jeffrey, can you bring the next one up, please? Okay, earth hand. Right, with the earth hand, you've got the square palm and the shorter fingers. They like routine, they're dependable, they're timely, they're tolerant, they're constructive. But on the downside, they're loners. And like before I said, they, especially in that ball down there below the thumb, they can have a strong sexual appetite. But if you're not emotionally, passionate with it, it's not much good, is it? And being earth hands, they often make good business people. They're good in business. I see these on a lot of farmers, those type of people. But they're basic, good, decent, down-to-earth people, which all of these are, but of course they're all different. So our next hand is our fire hand. I'm a fire hand. That lady that we looked at, she was a fire hand. We can be quite volatile. We're passionate people. We're good starters, but we're poor finishers. I don't know how many half-knitted jumpers I've got at home, or how many half-sewn dresses, or everything. I do everything up to about 3/4, and then I stop. Why I do that, I don't know. But then when I look at my hand, I know exactly why I do it. But we need external stimulus, but we can be impatient. We work well against deadlines, but we also can be quite argumentative, which I'm guilty of. So now the water hand, it's got the long fingers and the smaller palm. Their good sides are they're deep, they're secretive, they're compassionate, they're sensitive, and they can be calm on the outside but churning on the inside, or vice versa. But all of these hands, I mean, these are only part of what they're like. It's not all of what they're like. I mean, I've only given you a tiny bit, but it's so variable. It's quite incredible. Palmistry is a fascinating subject, and you never stop learning. You just never do. It's quite incredible.
Well, it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed your sharing, and obviously you've touched on the main things. And I was trying
I've touched on some, just a tiny weeny bit. Yeah.
Like you say, there's so much more to it, so much more to share. So people can obviously email you their handprints to get a reading from you. Is that the best way
Well, they can contact me or come and see me, or I'll get back to them. It might, I can't get back straight away, but I'll get back to them. I was going to say something else, and it's gone from me now. But yeah, no, they can do that. And I think I suggested before, maybe one day I can bring in some prints of people that are well-known criminals, Bundy, Mike Williams, those sort of people, and we can look very briefly at some of their traits, and they can be quite interesting. And some of them have the murderer's thumb, where the thumb is quite bulbous at the top and very, very thick and short, and all these little distinct things that apply to those sort of people. Yeah.
Have you thought of writing a book?
I am writing a book because I actually have a writer's fork, and that's one that comes at the end, but it's not about palmistry, but just about my own life. I've been putting it together for a while.
Because I've been told I've got 5 books to write, which is interesting. So where would I look to see if I've got a book?
Well, go down to the blue line, which is the one in the middle there that we talked before about the headline. Can you get back to that, Jeffrey, please?
Right, so there's the blue line, yeah.
Right, now, forgetting about all those lines you see there, if you can see my fingers, if you had a line like that at the end, can you see my fingers?
Yeah, but we're about
cutting like that, you'd have a writer's fork.
Where?
But it also tells me
on the edge down there.
Here. Yeah, down here. If you're looking at your headline, if you've got the 2 at the end, if it's forking like that, we call it a writer's fork. But also, it tells us that you have the ability to think in 2 ways. So you're open-minded and can think in 2 ways.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
But you both have interesting hands.
And what about the little? It says something square. Do you find many squares on people's hands?
You mean the teacher squares up the top? Is that where you mean?
Teacher, right? Yeah. All right.
That's the teacher squares.
Right.
Not everybody, but do you have some up there, Andrena? Have you noticed?
Well, if I'm looking on my right hand, I'm not sure if it's a square. No, probably not. So
we can't see your hand. No.
Anyway,
but you're a good talker. I mean, and you're doing this type of work, so it's usually what teaching's about. A lot of it, isn't it?
Well,
I've got a question. Right. What happens when someone goes and changes their name?
Well, I don't. I've
Obviously, a lot
never.
of females would change their maiden name to a married name, and then
I don't know what effect that would have, Jeffrey. I really don't know. Yeah, I've never come across that, and I've never had anyone ask me about it, or I really don't know, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a new one. I'll have to investigate that a bit further. But I personally don't, unless they have an epiphany and change completely themselves, then naturally the lines on their hands are going to change. But no, I wouldn't think that it would make much difference changing the name. Unless they change completely as a person themselves.
True.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is a fascinating subject. Sorry.
Yeah. So is there any other words of wisdom or any stories or anything that you would like to share before we finish today?
Only probably what I said before, that one thing I say, when we meet people and we spend time with them, always make sure that when you leave them, they feel nice about that interaction, and that they feel better for having interacted with you. And that's what I try and focus on when I'm doing the palms, that if someone comes to me upset, I like them to go away having hope, showing them where they can change things and do things. And the other thing, sometimes you might get someone come to you that is dying of a terminal illness. And I always say to them, they'll say, oh, how much time do I have left? Well, nobody has the right, I don't think, unless you're a medical person, to tell someone that. So I always say to them, darling, you'll have all the time in the world to do everything you want to do. And so they go away happy because they think, well, I shouldn't panic, I shouldn't worry, everything's going to be fine. I'll get everything I want to do done.
So from that, I've got a question. So when you look at somebody's hand, do you see that they have got a short lifeline?
It doesn't work like that. You can have the shortest lifeline and have the longest life. None of us, I believe, the reason why I give that is because if they've said to me, I've been given 12 months to live, but I'm worried I won't get everything done, blah, blah, then that's what I say to them so that they'll calm down and not worry. But I have a very famous palmist friend, and I've discussed with him the sign of death in the hand. He did tell me what it was and swore me to secrecy, and that's where it'll stay. And I don't look for it. If I found it, well, I just have a look on the hand where it is, but I have no right to say that. But you're going to get palmists and other people that are going to say to you, you'll be dead in 12 months. Well, you can't say that to someone.
No, of course not. No.
We don't know that, do we? None of us. So
no.
And it's sad because I've seen them upset a lot of people. They'll come to me upset that someone's told them, you know, this and that's going to happen. But no, you should never leave someone feeling like that.
No, and I always say that, you know, like when people are unwell or what have you, and they think they might be time to go. And I said, look, you know, when God promotes you, you're gone. You can't say, could I have another week? I need to do this, this, and this, or that, and that. You get the call in and you're promoted. End of story.
That's right. And lately I've been saying I'm walking towards the light because of my age, and let's hope it's a slow walk. That's all.
Yeah. Slow but healthy.
Yeah, that's right. Just try and stay healthy. So, and like I said before, don't deliberately set about hurting people, because those people come to me and it's not nice. And ask yourself, would you like to be cheated on or that being done to you? Because that's what a lot of this is. It's broken hearts that come. But they're the ones I like. Actually, Jeffrey said I should have a lifesavers uniform on. So that's But no, it's nice if you can help somebody. You know that.
Totally.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
It's been an absolute delight. So thank you, Deborah, for sharing all your knowledge and wisdom and enlighten us about our hands. And thank you, Jeffrey, for finding her at short notice. So
thank you. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight this end too. So I've been nervous all week, but you've made me feel most welcome and just both very lovely. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And just to let everybody know, we're having no live shows for the next fortnight. There'll probably be a recording going up, but Jeffrey's on holiday and I'm having some time out from technology because it's been driving me nuts over the week. So, so we won't be live for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back in September. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Andrena.